Hey everyone, DarthRaichu here. It's been a while since I've actually recorded a video. I think the last time I actually sat down and recorded a video, like, with whole face cam and everything, was like June. So it's been a bit. I got a whole new thing back here. Banjo up there. Morgana over there. I got all my amiibos. So like, whole setup's different. I moved a bunch of my games away, so it's whatever. But I've been wanting to record this video for a while. I made the script in like the middle of December, and I wanted to record it before, but then Christmas plans, whatever, got in the way. So then I decided I wanted to record it the first week of January, but then I kind of bought a PS5 the weekend I was gonna do it, so I'm like, okay, I'll do it next weekend. And then I got sick for 3 weeks. Not like terribly sick, but sick in the way that like I just couldn't speak right. So now this is like my top 10 games of 2022 coming out probably in like February. 2022 was a year that I decided not to play a whole lot of new games, and I decided to like look back, you know, just see like a ton of stuff that came up prior and play those instead. So most of my list isn't really games that came out in 2022. Most of it's stuff that came out like a few years prior. So just with that being said, I guess my top 10 game of the year is Scarlet and Violet. Even if quite a few of the recent Pokemon releases have been subpar, I still go out to buy each one on launch. Even if it's bad, it's still my kind of bad. Even games like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were still enjoyable to me despite their flaws. Scarlet and Violet, on the other hand, is a lot better than Diamond and Pearl remakes. Even despite all the flaws that it had, I've still had a lot of fun with it. It's a nice evolution to the franchise while still retaining many elements from the former games. It's a good in-between stuff like Sword and Shield and Legends Arceus. While I have been having a lot of fun in this one, the performance issues are glaring, and the graphics are, in my opinion, the worst of a Pokemon game on Switch. This game also feels like it could definitely have spent a bit more time in development. Despite these issues, it's still quite an enjoyable game, and so here it stands as my 10th favorite game of the year. Number 9 is The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Earlier this year, I bought this game on a whim after hearing some good things about it, and I've been really enjoying it. As my first Ace Attorney game and having no prior knowledge of the franchise, other than it being the funny lawyer game, I was pleasantly surprised. On the same front that I've never played an Ace Attorney game, I've also never played a visual novel. So this was basically two new experiences as one. While I still haven't beaten it, what I've played so far has been intriguing and fun. I love how you deduce certain cases or scenarios with fun twists or turns of the story. The art style is also so good. I love the way everything looks and blends together. The music is also killer. I'm not ashamed to admit I have quite a few of the songs from the game on my YouTube music playlist. With that being said about The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, my number 8 game is Sonic Unleashed. I'm no stranger to the franchise as a whole, and I've played quite a few of the games, but some of them being good, some of them being really bad. Sonic Unleashed, however, falls pretty high on that great side of the spectrum. Firstly, it has great music, as per usual in a Sonic game. Secondly, the gameplay is probably the best in a 3D Sonic game when it comes to the daytime sections. Keep in mind that I haven't played Frontiers yet. Well, actually, that's a lie. I have. The script says I haven't, but it's been so long that I have played it. Frontiers, it's kind of mid. It's fun for a little bit, but then it gets really boring. Unleashed is better. It is a blast to zip around as Sonic and travel the Sonic equivalent of Earth to collect Chaos Emeralds and try to stop Eggman. But since this is a Sonic game, there's always due to be some sort of monkey's paw scenario if it ends up being any good. That monkey's paw scenario happens to be the nighttime levels. They're okay on a good day, but on a bad day, they really aren't what a Sonic game is supposed to be. Despite the boring beat-em-up nature of the nighttime levels, dragging out that game quite a bit, I'd say the rest of the game for sure makes up for it. After that last one, my number 7 game is Persona 5 Strikers. After playing Persona 5 for the first time this year, I was hooked instantly and grinded through the game over the course of a few months. After I'd beaten that game, I was glad to know that it had a sequel being Strikers. Past Persona games haven't really gotten many things to be regarded as official sequels, so I'm glad this one got something along those lines. Persona 5 Strikers is a warrior-style game in the universe of Persona 5, taking place a little while after the first game. Many didn't enjoy this drastic change in gameplay from the first, but as someone who enjoys warrior-style games in Persona 5, I fell neatly into the Venn diagram of who this game was for. The palaces in the previous game have been changed to large jails to accommodate for the new style, and the game is on a linear path unlike many other Warriors games to accommodate Persona 5's structure. All of the characters get more time to shine and go through new arcs to flesh them out even further than the first game, especially Haru. Haru was kind of a letdown in the first game, so seeing her get a little more fleshed out was a really nice treat. And so much more. Everything feels so well adapted from Persona 5 that it's hard to tell it's even made by a different studio than the first. Number 6 on my list is God of War 2018. While I've only played around 10 hours of this game so far, what I've played has been so much fun, and I really should get back to playing it so I can move on to its sequel, God of War Ragnarok. I own God of War Ragnarok as it came with my PS5, and I have actually gone a little further than 10 hours than set in the script, but I'm playing Persona 5 Royal right now, and so I haven't been doing it as much as I should. I will finish God of War. It's a really good game, I promise, but Persona 5 Royal is its own beast. I gotta finish that one first. The game perfectly executes everything that it sets out to do while not overdoing itself in the process. The combat is expansive yet simple, the puzzles are intriguing yet not rage-inducing, and the characters are so well written you'd confuse them for real people sometimes. The game also looks stunning for a PS4 title. It's on the very edge of next-gen without being next-gen. One of PlayStation's best titles for sure. At this point in the tier list, numbers 5 through 2 are such good quality that I could honestly mix them around depending on how I'm feeling that day. These are all such good titles, and I really had a hard time choosing which one goes where. That being said, number 5 is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I remember seeing this game getting announced a little over a year ago, and it was so hype seeing Kirby finally transition from 2D to 3D for the first time. And dang, they did an excellent job making Kirby work in a 3D space. Instead of being able to jump up to an almost infinite degree, you can only jump up to a certain distance from where you started your jump. This makes the player not able to just float over the entire level. If I were to compare this to a Mario game, I'd say this is closest to something like 3D World. The levels are segmented with a boss at the end of each world, and each level has its own fair share of new gimmicks and platforming. Plus there's a hub area where the further you progress, the more Waddle Dees you save from the levels. Overall, this is such a fun platformer that I will within a split second recommend this to anyone waiting for a new 3D Mario. Number 4 is Psychonauts 2. May I quickly point out that this game released both on Xbox and PlayStation despite Microsoft buying Double Fine a while before this game came out? Regardless of that fun fact, Psychonauts 2 is one of the best next-gen titles as of now. It's a sequel to an original Xbox platformer that didn't sell too well during its original release, but later picked up a notoriety due to a Steam release. Double Fine has been in trouble development for a while before Microsoft picked them up, and basically granted them as much time and money as they needed to complete the project, and I'm so glad they did, as this is one of the best platformers I've ever played. With the wacky idea of going into people's brains to fix out their problems, a ton of even wackier designs and concepts and movesets are sure to follow. If you have Game Pass or even just a spare $60 to spend, I cannot recommend this game enough. Next up is Legends Arceus at number 3. When this game was first showed off, I was hesitant to be excited. The further it progressed and the more they showed it off, it ended up looking better and better, but since it's Pokemon they've had a pretty tough track record as of late, I did not go into this game with high hopes. But finally, the day arrived and my pre-order came into the mail, and then I started the game. It was slow. So slow. The first portion of the game absolutely crawls along, and I had almost given up then and there, but I played some more, and finally was given some freedom, and my god, this is the best Pokemon game ever. Not my favorite, but it's definitely in my opinion that it's the highest quality entry yet. Being able to actually aim and throw Pokeballs is such a fun concept. It turns a previous simple input into a whole minigame. Plus, for the first time ever, the game is open world. Mostly, you can just go wherever, whenever from the beginning of the game. A very few spots on each of the map are inaccessible until you get fighting Pokemon, but otherwise it is all open to the player. The whole aesthetic of the game is also a godsend. I felt so immersed in the game every moment, unlike every other Pokemon game I've ever played. It really made you feel like you're in the Pokemon world. I probably will make a review at some point, so I won't ramble on forever and list every feature, but this is such a good game. And if you'd enjoyed any Pokemon game in the past, please give this one a shot. I know you will actually really love it. My sister bought me this next game last Christmas, but for whatever reason, I did not decide to play it until like August. I cannot believe I did not play it sooner because at number 2 comes Uncharted 4. I've never played an Uncharted game before this one, and I'm disappointed in myself because Uncharted 4 is so much fun. First off, the storytelling is on point. Tons of twists and turns you would have never expected coming, along with characters so likable you wish they were real. That combined with the excellent gameplay loop of maneuvering to destination, solving a puzzle, shooting bad guys, and repeating that for over and over for the around 20-hour experience. That 20-hour game time may seem short for a lot of games, but I promise you, it's perfect for this game. Nothing overstays its welcome and you're always having a blast. After playing through this, I really need to play the DLC and go back and play Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 in the Nathan Drake collection. If you have any PlayStation console, this game is only like $15 used and like $20 brand new. This is the best first-party PlayStation game I've ever played. I know I've said this for almost everything else on the list, but I really mean it this time. I cannot recommend this enough. If you follow me on Twitter, which if you haven't, you should, you know this is no last surprise. But my favorite game I've played this year, and now my favorite game I've ever played, is Persona 5. I picked up this game last year, meaning 2021, only played it 2022, this video is on 2023, what can you do? I only really played it for like 10 minutes before putting it down until around April in 2020. So I really don't count it as something I played in 2021, I'm gonna consider it a 2022 game. And I cannot believe I had this on my shelf for like 6 months without giving it a second thought for the longest time. This game is so good. Everything from the jazzy music to the well-written characters to the flashy visuals is perfect in my opinion. The music is so great I got over half the soundtrack on my main music playlist. And there's constantly new songs jumping out at the player, each of them being earworms. The characters all have their own independent arcs and storylines that you're able to dive through the game's confidant system. Persona 5 operates on a daily schedule with major events taking place on specific days, with the character living through each day to eventually get to those deadlines. This means everything you do in this game has to have purpose. You have to optimize which character to hang out with and when, to optimize certain buffs or events. But in order to spend time with the certain characters, you need points in the character's personal stats, like charm, guts, or proficiency. All of this is about half the game, making it almost a life sim. If this was just the game, I'm not sure I would care about it as much as I do, but then comes the other half of the game, the RPG gameplay. In Persona 5, the characters are rebelling against society and taking a deep dive into people's subconscious minds, therefore their worlds. It's very similar to the aforementioned Psychonauts. You traverse through the mind palaces through RPG gameplay, 4 characters on your team with different elemental personas, and your character having access to a plethora of persona elements due to the character's wildcard. It's one of the simplest and more complex RPGs I've played. It can be summarized as find enemy weakness, use the element of enemy weakness to beat them, but it goes much deeper. Too deep to really go into a simple top 10 like this. I really should make a review, but this is a really big game and I kind of stray away from making reviews on big games because they take a while. But this video is already like really long, so I might. After beating Persona 5, the re-release of Persona 5 Royal across all major platforms had re-released, and I'm currently plowing my way through Persona 5 a second time in a single year. I'm already on to the 3rd semester. Oh my god. All I can really say right now is that there are a ton of new elements in Royal missing in base Persona 5, including new content, new quality of life features, and 3 new characters. I would definitely say that Royal is the definitive version of 5 so far. I wish I could say more about Persona 5, but I've rambled on long enough and should probably leave it for another time. If you made it this far into the video, thank you, and please leave a comment down below. It really does help the video because my regular videos don't perform too well, whereas shorts, YouTube just pumps those out, get like 1,000 views on one of them. They're a lot lower content. But these, I really do love making these. So if you have made it this far, please leave a comment. If you haven't already subscribed, leave a like. And I'm sorry for slowing down on general content. I have been doing a ton of school stuff. High school is really, So, tell me in the comments, what games have you played in 2022 that you would like to see me play, or games that you just have really enjoyed? With that being said, see ya.